Many people may think that bodybuilding is all about huge muscles and lifting big weights, but it's also about relief. Some bodybuilders have phenomenal relief because these athletes themselves are very lean. Let's take a look at them. This is Infinity, and in this episode I'll show you bodybuilders with 0% body fat who took it too far. Helmut Strebel. Australian Helmut Strebel is known as the most shredded bodybuilder on the planet. His height's about 6.2 feet and his weight is 209 pounds. And it seems as if all these kilos are represented only by skin, bones, and muscles. According to Helmut himself, his body has no more than 4% body fat, but some researchers believe that this figure may be around 0 and that it's to be believed. When we look at Helmut's body, we can see all the muscles in great detail, as if in some anatomy textbook. Now, Helmut's in his 50s and he started training at 16. According to Helmut, he built his ultra-shredded body without chemicals or steroids, only through a special training program, proper nutrition, and his own special outlook. Of course, good genetics played a role, but still the most important thing is regular exercise. The athlete very rarely misses training, and thanks to this he maintains the status of the most shredded bodybuilder on the planet. Helmut Strebel's ultra-shredded relief is very rare but not unique. There are other dry men in the bodybuilders world, for example Sean Rez. His body has virtually no fat in it either. Studies have shown that the figure is close to an absolute minimum. This result is a combination of two very unusual factors. First, it's the special training. The athlete assures that he owes his shape to a special system of training. 50 reps of each exercise with minimal rest between sets. As a result, there are 200 reps for each muscle group in one training session. This is a hell of a training that only a unique body can endure. Second, there's nutrition. Rez takes almost no carbohydrates year-round and eats 5.5 pounds of meat along with vegetables, fish, and fruit daily. This combination of such unusual diet and very grueling workouts make his body dry to the max. At the same time, Sean manages to gain 4.5 pounds of lean muscle every year. And these 4.5 pounds are not just saved, but added every year. Rizak Hakim. Until 2016, Australian Rizak Hakim was an ordinary guy with a good muscularity, but then he decided to put special emphasis on relief and to improve his muscles with extreme drying. The result was not long in coming. Already in 2017, Rizak could boast of a well-developed relief, and now this relief is brought almost to the maximum. The guy doesn't have more than 5% body fat. You can see all the veins and muscles on Hakim's torso, and the bodybuilder himself has been called the skinless man. Unlike Sean Rez, who spoke at length about the secret of his relief, Rizak prefers to keep everything a secret. Because of this, many people believe that Rizak is on drugs. They even made a rough list of what Rizak clearly abuses. In addition to anabolic steroids, diuretics, which artificially dehydrate the body, are included. We do not know whether it's true, but even with drugs, it's not easy to dry out the body to such an extent. Obviously, there was a lot of hard training involved. Eleonora Dobrynya. There's a girl in this episode as well. Eleonora Dobrynya from Bulgaria can be called the most shredded female bodybuilder on the planet. She could challenge even the shredded bodybuilders in this episode, because during the competitions, the amount of fat in her body does not exceed 4%. It should be said that due to the features of the female body, such figure is almost unattainable and impossible result. But Eleonora proves that anything is possible. The girl started training at the age of 16, but many times she quit. After giving birth, Eleonora gained weight and then decided to get in shape. Since then, the Bulgarian has been working out 5 times a week, giving preference to cardio training and multiple reps of each exercise. She doesn't forget about her diet. She excluded all unhealthy products and takes carbohydrates very rarely. According to Eleonora, there are no drugs, diuretics, and other substances. Her body is completely natural. All of these extremely shredded athletes can be safely called some of the most unusual bodybuilders in the world. But there are other extraordinary and atypical bodybuilders who will surprise you. Stay tuned to see these unusual people. What do you think of typical bodybuilders? Usually they're big guys who have everything pumped up, from the hips and shoulders to the back, chest, and abs. We can hardly imagine such a bodybuilder, can we? That's why Big Lenny can be called unusual and extraordinary. This is one of the most absurd and bizarre bodybuilders on the planet. He's tall, heavy, and big in general, but his proportions are far from the conventional ideals and standards of bodybuilding. But that's the feature of Big Lenny. He just doesn't care about all the proportions, training regimens, proper nutrition, and stuff like that. He's basically the showman of the bodybuilding world. He captures his life on camera and posts it on YouTube, goofs around in the gym, and eats raw eggs. The big guy knows how to make fun of himself, talking about his far-from-bodybuilding figure. No wonder he has a lot of fans and followers. It's more interesting to follow him than normal and proper bodybuilders. Continuing this topic of the typical appearance of bodybuilders, we usually imagine these athletes to be not just muscular but also big, right? Often we think of them as tall. That's why many people cannot call Caleb Mutombo a bodybuilder, because in the world of jocks, he's a real baby. He's only 3.7 feet tall and weighs about 77 pounds. Nevertheless, these are the parameters that make you admire Caleb. This South African athlete suffers from one serious peculiarity. At the age of 14, Mutombo's body stopped developing and growing. And even before that, the guy himself was developing slowly. He had difficulties with his gait, and his body grew asymmetrically. One of his legs was almost non-functional, so he had to get around on crutches. In Caleb's place, many people would not think about bodybuilding or any sport in general, but the guy didn't give up. According to him, weakness is a choice, and anyone can become strong. Despite his peculiarities, Caleb goes to the gym, lifts a lot of weight, and boasts an impressive body. Mutombo even performs at competitions and wins prizes there. He performs on equal terms with people who are in good health. In short, I can just pay my respect to this guy. Nick Scott. In high school, Nick Scott was involved in a serious car accident. As a result, he was almost completely paralyzed from the waist down. During rehabilitation, Nick gained excess weight. It would seem he was doomed. After all, only a wheelchair, lack of mobility, and weakness were waiting for him further. That's what a lot of people would have thought, but not Nick. Scott did what a true warrior would do and started fighting with life by going to the gym. The results of his years of struggle are astounding. You can even tell from the footage, which doesn't show the wheelchair, that this guy is physically limited. His muscles would be the envy of many healthy bodybuilders. Scott lost the extra weight, got bulked up, and achieved impressive relief. Along the way, he became a champion in several Paralympic competitions. At some of them, he even shocked the public by getting up briefly from his wheelchair. Among other things, Nick is a public speaker and coach, offering training programs and sharing his life experiences. His recipe is simple. If you really want something, you have to achieve it. Nick Scott is certainly a powerful dude. However, there are plenty of other strong bodybuilders in the world who can't use their legs, so his case can't be called unique. What about a bodybuilder without arms? That sounds more unusual to me. Such is Barbie Thomas. In an accident at the age of 2, Barbie lost both of her arms. Thomas didn't give up, accepted herself as she was, and learned to live without hands. The girl easily does the shopping, drives the car, texting with friends, cooking, and so on, and does it all with her feet. She also found herself in sports. Her first hobby was swimming, which brought a few confident victories. Later, Barbie decided to try bodybuilding. People around her were skeptical of the girl's decision, and even her coach didn't particularly believe in success. Thomas took it as a challenge, began to train harder, and eventually became a champion. On top of that, Barbie's a dancer. She successfully combines her athletic and dancing careers with her personal life. Barbie's raising children and hopes that they will inherit her fighting qualities. Colin Clark. Down syndrome is one of the most devastating pathologies. Not only does it manifest itself in appearance, speech, and immunity, but in some cases it also leads to decreased muscle tone, growth deficits, and under- or overweight. People with this genetic disorder can have a much harder time maintaining certain body proportions, let alone bodybuilding. All the more amazing is the story of Colin Clark, a man with Down syndrome who was able to become a powerful professional bodybuilder. At first, Colin just worked at the front desk of one of the gyms, but then he met a local bodybuilder and coach, and under his influence he decided to fulfill a childhood dream, to take part in bodybuilding competitions. He plunged into the world of sports. Even his coach said he'd never trained such an enthusiastic person who devoted himself entirely to training and diet. At his first pro competition, Colin placed 5th, which in his case equaled a monumental victory. But the most important thing is not even the competition, but the fact that bodybuilding has made Colin happy and less shy. Janai Kroc. Look at the picture of this man lifting a heavy barbell. Now look at the picture of this big girl. It's the same person, who's very famous in bodybuilding and powerlifting circles. Janai Kroc has been a trans person for several years now, which makes her stand out from the other athletes. Previously, she was known as Matt Krzyzewski. As Matt, Janai competed very hard and even set the world record in men's powerlifting in 2005, with phenomenal results in the bench press, deadlift, and squat. By the way, while she was Matt, Janai also had time to work in other fields, including being a Marine and working as one of U.S. President Bill Clinton's personal security guards. As Janai says now, she always felt she was a girl in a man's body, so a few years ago she decided to have a sex swap surgery. In fact, she only changed her appearance. Janai, already a girl, still continues to impress with incredible performances and records. That's all, guys. Which bodybuilder impressed you the most? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching and see you later.